Okay, good evening, everyone. Am I audible enough and visible?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Very
Good
good
evening.
evening.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now today we are starting this Splunk. So Splunk started Splunk as a company. It started in 2002. Splunk started in 2002. It's a US-based company. Now it's a standalone. It was a standalone company. Means tool name was also Splunk, and the company name was also Splunk. And from SIEM perspective, Splunk is leader in the market from 2014 onwards. If you are aware, there is a research company, survey company called as Gartner. So Splunk is leader in the market as per the Gartner report since 2014. So it's been 10th year since Splunk is leader in the market. From SIEM perspective, first number is Splunk. Second is Microsoft Sentinel, as per if you refer the recent Gartner report. And third is IBM QRadar, right? So the tool that you are learning is the leader of the market. So it started in 2000. Yes.
We're not able to hear you.
Hello, I'm not audible.
Audible.
No, audible, clear.
Audible.
It's
Yeah,
audible,
maybe
sir.
some issue with them.
Little slow voice is coming. Little sweet. Just you are audible, but not very clear.
It is not very clear, is it?
And now it is clear,
No.
sir. Now it is clear.
No, we're not.
Achha,
I'm not able to hear you.
Okay, I think it was little down.
What is the second number you said? First is Splunk, second is
from SIEM perspective, first number as per the Gartner report. First number is Splunk. Second number is Microsoft Sentinel. First is Splunk. Second, Microsoft Sentinel. And third number is IBM QRadar. Third number is IBM.
तू रट अजून तुला येतं थांब दाख
What? What? Any problem?
No, sir. Sorry, my mic was not muted.
Okay. Okay. So first number is in Splunk as per the recent Gartner report. Second number is Microsoft Sentinel, and third number is IBM QRadar from SIEM perspective. So recently in 2024 only, March 2024, Splunk has been acquired by what? Anybody knows?
Cisco.
Cisco, right? So now Splunk is Cisco Splunk. So the whole company itself has been acquired by Cisco. So now this merger is already started. Well, it's completely merged, but migration is still in progress. So now Splunk is a Cisco company, and after acquiring Splunk, Cisco has become the biggest software company across the world. After acquiring Cisco, because Splunk itself was a big company. After acquiring Splunk, Cisco has become the biggest software company across the world. So you understand, Splunk was already leader in the market. Now it has been acquired by Cisco, right? Cisco is already kind of leader in the network security market, right? And they have acquired cyber security business also, right? Which is Splunk. So you can understand what will be demand for the Splunk going forward, right? So now let's understand the deployment model of a Splunk deployment. Splunk deployment. There are two types of deployment available in the Splunk. One is Splunk Enterprise, and another is Splunk Cloud. Right? Splunk Enterprise is nothing but the on-premises deployment. This is on-premises. This is Splunk Enterprise, we call it on-premises deployment. So in your data center, you have to set up your own server. Then if you deploy it, that we call on-premises, and that software we call as Splunk Enterprise, right? Splunk is available on the cloud as well. So if you are going with the Splunk cloud, then Splunk deployment we call as Splunk cloud. I hope you guys are aware, right? What is cloud? Yes or no? So let's understand. You're already aware, right? What is the advantage and disadvantages of the cloud? If you're going with the on-premises, like say Splunk Enterprise deployment, right? That you have to download, you have to purchase the license from the Splunk. Then you have to download a software, Splunk Enterprise from Splunk.com, right? And then you have to set up a server. You have to have a server, right? On your own data center, you have to have a server. You deploy operating system. Over that, you have to install Splunk Enterprise certified, right? That means everything you have to manage yourself, your deployment, right? Your configuration and server, operating system, everything has to be managed by yourself, right? That is software model, and we call it Splunk Enterprise. Splunk Enterprise is not available on hardware. Typical hardware appliance is not available. Only software is available. So that you can install on in production, only Windows and Linux. However, for lab environment, it is available to install on Windows, Linux as well as Mac, right? But in production, you will see Windows and Linux. Okay. Similarly, if you go with the Splunk cloud, you understand Splunk cloud means it will be available in the cloud. In case you are going with the Splunk cloud, you have to pay based on the pay as you use model, how much data you are ingesting the Splunk. Based on that, you have to pay. You don't have to go with this. You don't have to manage the deployment configuration, initial configuration, right? That is already available in the cloud. If you're going the cloud model, you just get the URL as well as username and password, right? Splunk is already installed on the cloud. That means this hassles of setting up the server, deploying operating system, as well as installing your Splunk, you will not have to do, right? That is already deployed over the cloud. You just get the URL and username and password. And second thing, many of the administrative tasks also, you don't have to bother about. Let's say for any issues on the Splunk console, right? Here on premises, you have to troubleshoot yourself. Upgradation, you have to manage yourself, right? As well as any operating system related issues, right? Sometime if you are upgrading a new version, you might have to upgrade the underlying operating system as well. So that all you have to manage yourself. Any issues, you have to troubleshoot yourself. But in case you are not able to troubleshoot, you can call to Splunk support. But those tasks has to perform by yourself. However, in the Splunk cloud, these all tasks will be managed by the cloud vendor, means Splunk itself, means no hassles. It's a kind of, you can compare with Zomato. You don't have to set up your kitchen and everything, right? Neither your kitchen you have to set up, neither you have to buy the groceries, right? You just have to pay as you go model, means cloud kitchen. You just pay, food will get delivered, you just have to eat, right? But if you're setting up your own kitchen, you have to set up kitchen, you have to have a gas, you have to buy groceries yourself, you have to wash utensils also, right? That means everything has to be done by yourself, right? So that is actually basic difference between the cloud and on premises, right? But you understand, if you have few member at your home, you can order, for example, you and your wife both are working, right? You don't have time, to cook food, to order groceries, right? Wash utensils. You can order from Zomato and Swiggy, right? Your food will get delivered and you just eat it because you are already earning enough. You don't want to put your effort in cooking and all. So you can just order it. So that can be delivered. But in case you have bigger family, right? So you understand, right? Ordering from Zomato and Swiggy is not cost effective. Yes or no? So that is similarly to the cloud. If you have a lot of devices already in your company, right? So instead of deploying all the devices in the cloud, right, and paying a lot of cost, pay as you go model, you may set up your own data center, right? Where you can deploy your own devices, manage yourself. You may have different team to manage. So that is how it works. So if you, which customer will go for the cloud and which customer will go for the on-premises? If your company is already having data center, already almost devices are already deployed on their own data center, right? Then since we are already managing a lot of different devices in our own data center, then we'll install Splunk also and manage ourselves, right? And if you have almost all the devices in the cloud already, then why we'll manage only Splunk on premises? We'll go with the cloud. Get your mind clear? Clear this point?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I have a question.
Hmm.
When you say pay as you go, what exactly are we paying for?
Paying for how much data you are collecting, right, per day. I will tell you based licensing model. So
Okay.
GB per day usually data will be calculated based on the GB per day, as well as how long you hold data. See, when you on-premises Splunk, how much data you are collecting per day on your Splunk, based on that you have to pay for this license, right?
Mhm.
But when you go for the Splunk cloud model,
Mhm.
because here in the Splunk Enterprise, the storage will be yours, right? Like hard disk or SSD storage will be yours only. So how long you want to keep, it is up to you. You don't need to pay anything for the Splunk for keeping the logs for a long time. Only how much logs per day you are receiving, based on that you have to pay the license cost. However, for the Splunk cloud, you have to pay as you go model. That means how much data you are receiving per day, as well as how long you are storing the data, because storage also will be managed by Splunk only, right?
Mhm.
So based on that you have to pay. How much log you are ingesting, as well as how long you are keeping the data, retention period.
Okay, I have one more question.
Yes.
Between Splunk Enterprise and Splunk Cloud, when you say we have everything on Splunk Cloud, does that only means the search head or everything like heavy forwarders and universal forwarders? Like what components do we have on cloud specifically?
I did not talk about the different component of Splunk as of now. See, it depends. It depends if you have already all the devices in the cloud, right? Then no
Mhm.
need to have heavy forwarder and all. It directly integrated with service to service integration. No need to have universal forwarder or heavy forwarder. If you have certain devices already on premises, then only you need to have heavy forwarder or universal forwarder. Then heavy forwarder will be on premises. Right now, majority of people do not know what is universal forwarder or heavy forwarder. I'm going to explain you.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
since you already knows, that's the reason I'm telling you. Main data will be stored on the cloud, as well as the console you will have, right? Centralized console that will be
Mhm.
there in the cloud.
Okay.
Never mind. For integration, collecting the agent like high forwarder and union forwarder, that will be there on premises for collecting the logs locally and then sending to the central console.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So if you are going with the cloud model, right, by default, if you are not specifically defining which cloud you want in the Splunk, so Splunk is mostly available in the AWS. If you are not going a specific requirement that I have to go in which cloud I want Splunk, so Splunk mostly services available on the AWS. Okay, then if you request, okay, because my most of the deployment for the devices are on Google Cloud, so I want it in Google Cloud. So then the second option you have Google Cloud. So only it is available on AWS as well as Google Cloud, right? If you have something on Azure, right, then you have to deploy on AWS and all. Then you have to collect the logs from Azure. That can be integrated. Okay, got it? By default AWS. Then you have the option you can request for Google Cloud if you want. If you don't want AWS. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Clear, everybody? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So something I wanted to mention, but I think I missed. One moment.
Sir, one question here.
Go ahead.
So am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
So what you said about this Azure, suppose if I have Azure, and all the components are in
Device.
Azure,
Uh-huh.
then how I'm gonna do that integration or the Splunk deployment in that
No
case?
problem. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. You'll have a Splunk in AWS, then that can be integrated service to service. That would not be a problem. Get my point? So what I wanted to mention that in this training we are covering Splunk Enterprise, right? Not a Splunk Cloud, because Splunk Cloud means we are limiting our scope of learning. Because in the Splunk Enterprise, cloud, you don't need to deploy, you don't need to learn the architecture, right? It is just about the console. Because in this Splunk Cloud, you just get the console already configured, right? Or just running console, you will get it. Means you will not understand underlying architecture, right? How to deploy it. So Splunk Enterprise almost covers everything, right? That's the reason we focus on Splunk Enterprise, so that we can cover each and everything. Got it? While Splunk Cloud is just a console. Okay. So और क्या था एक बड़ा मैं जो I'm just checking the topics.
Sir, I have a small query with respect
I
to
got it.
cloud.
What I have to cover. Got it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, when we think of cloud, we also need to think of the bandwidth requirement, right? Like a lot of data will be going outside your environment using the public internet. So that also needs to be taken into the consideration, right?
For it's that is something that you have to evaluate yourself. Means it is not something from a Splunk perspective.
Yes.
That you have to plan yourself separately. Network that is something which is applicable even from on-premises as well. Even from on-premises perspective also, that is something that you have to plan, network bandwidth and all, right? Because you are getting so much of data, right, towards your SIEM. So you have to make sure that you have enough bandwidth so that data can be collected.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, so now what I wanted to explain you that I missed, and now I'm able to recall. See, Splunk there are two type of usage of the Splunk. There are two type of use of the Splunk. One is for data analytics as data analytics, and another is for SIEM. I hope, is there anybody here in the training who is not aware what is SIEM? Everybody is aware?
Sir, I've just heard. I'm sorry, I've just heard, sir, but I don't know the concept about Splunk and SIEM.
SIEM, you don't know what is SIEM?
No, sir.
Okay. Anybody else accept him who do not know what is SIEM?
Even me, I have a base idea, so I think it's better you cover it.
Okay, fine. So let me tell you about the SIEM first, then I will tell you about the data analytics. So what happens is Splunk, while your Curadar, Microsoft Sentinel, ArcSight, Logarithm, these tools are typical SIEM solution. Means we use for security information and event management only, right? While your Splunk is not only a SIEM, Splunk is one of the data analytics tools also, right? Like the competitor for data analytics like Power BI, you have Elasticsearch, right? These are the competitor of the Splunk from data analytics tool perspective. While from SIEM perspective, competitors are like Microsoft Sentinel, Curadar, right? ArcSight, Logarithm. So your Splunk, there are two work that can be done using a Splunk tool. One is data analytics, another is SIEM, right? First of all, let me explain you quickly what is SIEM. Okay, guys, I am recommending you, if you're completely new in cybersecurity, if you do not know what is firewall, because you understand SIEM is all right, we collect the logs from a network device, security device, servers, application, databases and all. So if your networking concept and security concepts are not very clear, I'll recommend you to complete my 9 days of session, which is available on the YouTube for free. If you want, I can share the link also playlist. If you watch it, you will definitely get the confidence in case you are not from that background. Okay, on which I have explained the SIEM also, but SIEM again I am explaining you now. So I'll recommend you if so you'll get a better understanding. 9 days means it does not mean that 30 hours, but it is just 14 to 15 hours of session. Okay, so Splunk has two uses. One is SIEM and another is data analytics. Because this is advanced class, right? We cannot go with the basic things, which is common for network and cyber security, because this is expected from people that you already have IT background and networking fundamental already clear. So let me tell you what is SIEM solution. So SIEM means SIEM, security, information and event management, right? So what SIEM does, you know what? We have several devices, right? We have several different devices in our network. You have Windows device, you have firewall, right? You have router, you have switch, right? So you know what happens? You understand, right? In typical IT infrastructure, you have these kind of devices like network devices, like router switches, security devices, servers, application, databases, right? So you have these typical IT infrastructure devices. So what happens is, whenever any activity happens on these devices or any communication using this device, for example, firewall coming in between, right? Firewall might be in gateway, any connection coming from outside going to inside, inside going to outside. Firewall is coming in between. Proxy, when you access the internet, it will go through the proxy, then it will go to the internet, right? So these are the intermediate devices. So what happens is, any activities happening through these devices are being recorded in the form of logs. Are you guys aware of that? For example, this is Windows device, right? This is Windows device. When you log into this Windows device, right? Let's say login got failed. So login got failed. This activity will be recorded in form of logs. Okay, which user has logged in, what time he has logged in, and login got failed, event ID and all, right? That will record in form of logs. Similarly, for all these devices, whatever activities happening on these devices will be recorded in the form of logs. We call as event or we call as logs. Understand? So what happens?
Yes.
These different devices, you understand, record the logs, right? But these different devices are having their own format to record the logs. There is no common format. For example, if you don't have SIEM in your background, please mute your camera, please. Let's say in your IT network, some kind of suspicious activity is happening, some kind of attack is happening, right? So to deep down to understand what kind of activities are happening, right? Right now, you will have to log in these devices, because activities have been recorded in these devices only, right? So learn more. The attacker IP address, which connected to which destination, right? Which file has been came through email ID, which user have clicked it, right? So all this will be recorded on different devices, right? So if you want to understand some attack is happening right now, if you want to understand and investigate so that you can take the action, you will have to log in on all these devices, right? Yes or no? Which are coming in between. So one problem is, attack is happening right now, and you will have to log in on all these devices, each and every devices to check the activities. That is one thing, that it will take time, right? One by one you log in on a device. Second thing is, these devices generate a lot of logs. All these firewall generate billions of logs per day, right? Router generate millions of logs. And third thing is, every devices are having their own format to record the activities. Means different devices recording the activities on different format, right? There is no common format. If you're the expert on the firewall, you may understand firewall logs. If you're expert on Windows, you may understand Windows logs. But you understand, being a cybersecurity analyst, you might not be expert on different devices. In the sense, logging on these devices and understanding the logs, it is very, very difficult, because these logs format we call as raw logs. Raw logs means not easily readable format logs. Understand? So in this case, attack is happening right now. One challenge is you have to log in on each and every device. Second is these devices generate the logs on the raw format, not on the simply easily readable format, right? So you may end up putting a lot of time, maybe for many hours or day, to understand, to investigate particular activity. Within that time, attacker may come inside and go outside within 10 minutes and complete his work and go on outside. That means you are doing some kind of historical analysis, right? Means you are not able to take the active action. Getting a point? Clear this? And third thing is, these devices also, not all the devices are having capability to store the logs for a long time. Something happened 2 months back, some fraud happened 5-6 months back, right? So not every device is having capability to keep the logs for a long time, right? That is also a third challenge, right? To overcome this challenge, one technology has been introduced that we call as SIEM. SIEM stands for Security, Information and Event Management, right? What SIEM does? SIEM collect the real-time logs from your network devices, security devices, servers, databases, applications, etc. It collects the real-time log. That means as soon as this device activity will happen, log will get generated, it will send to your SIEM, it will send to your SIEM, it will send to your SIEM, it will send to your SIEM. Understand? So once your SIEM will collect the logs, it will parse the logs, it will normalize the logs, parse the log as well as normalize the logs, right? Means it will convert unreadable logs to the readable format, common format. So after collecting the logs, I will tell you what is the meaning of parsing and normalization, right? Technical meaning, but you just understand right now that once your SIEM will collect the log, it will normalize log. That means it will convert this unreadable format, raw format, to the common format, so that you can easily understand. So every devices will have the common format of the logs. Means different devices will not have different format of the logs, right? After getting on SIEM, you will have all similar format, so that you can easily understand. Understand? Clear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So what happens is, now since all the logs are being collected, right, real-time logs being collected on SIEM, these logs you can keep for long time. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years, based on your company requirement, organization requirement, forensic requirement, audit and compliance requirement, you can keep for long time. And you will have a search console on this. You will have a search console. You just enter the query here, what device log you want to search. You just enter the query and you can see the logs in the console, as well as you can download the logs also. Understand? Clear this point? So this is the one feature of the SIEM. Everybody is clear? Second feature I'll be explaining now. Everybody is clear about this? Any question?
No, sir. It was so easy.
Good. So now you understand, you have all these devices logs on your SIEM, right? That means at the time of attack, you didn't need to log in on all these devices, right? So you can simply log in this SIEM tool, write the query and get the logs. But here I mentioned at the time of attack, you can log in. So now you understand, is attacker going to tell you that I'll be attacking by 12:30 tomorrow? So you should be ready and searching. You should be searching the logs. Is he going to tell you that, okay, by 15th of November, I will attack? You should be ready. Then you download the logs, right? So attacker is not going to tell you, right? That means attack may happen at any point of time, 24/7, anytime. Yes or no? This example I have given, okay, somehow you came to know attack is happening, then you can log in on this and search the logs. But attacker is not going to tell you when he is going to launch an attack. So in that case, what will you do? In that case, you have to monitor each and every logs. Yes or no? Typical IT infrastructure, you will have around, see what happens is, here in my training, you are free to ask any questions, right? So I will not keep asking you if you have any doubt, right? You are free to ask the question. So if you're not asking question, I will consider that you understood everything. Okay. So in typical IT infrastructure, you can consider 10K to 15K EPS. EPS means event per second. Means by consolidating all these devices that you have, different devices, your SIM is receiving 10,000 to 15,000 event per second. That means every next blink of your eyes, next 10,000 logs. Yes or no? So if you have to monitor, let's say, because attacker is not going to tell you, right, when he is going to launch an attack. So now here you started monitoring, because you have to monitor, right, each and every logs to check what is suspicious, what is not suspicious. You have to check. Then only you will come to know, you will investigate what is suspicious activity, what is not. So in that case, 10,000, 15,000 logs coming per second. That means every blink of your eyes, 10,000 events are coming in. So do you think that you will be able to analyze 10,000 logs per second?
Not feasible.
Is it possible?
Not
That means first feature we understand, and we were happy that, okay, now we do not have to log in on each and every devices. We will have the logs available in the SIEM, and that too on the easily understandable, readable format, and we can keep the logs for a long time and search here centrally. But we are on the same point that it's difficult to monitor, because we have a lot of logs coming in. It's difficult to monitor each and every logs, 10,000, 15,000, even sometime 50,000, 1 lakh event also in typical bigger IT infrastructure. So now, but you understand, if you, I mean, to detect any suspicious activities, we have to check each and every logs, right? Then only we'll understand whether what event is suspicious, what event is not suspicious. So being human, how we can do that? You understand? You tell me one thing. Can you tell me? Can you tell me the answer? How much it is? How much it
90.
is?
90.
90. And now 90 minus 30.
60.
60.
Oh, nice. Excellent. Now, you tell me. How much it is? How much?
It will take time to calculate.
But I mean, you cannot calculate it right away, right? You cannot calculate, it is complex calculation. You
Yeah,
cannot
yeah.
calculate it right away, but your concept is clear, right? You understand? This plus means addition, right? If there are two numbers, between two numbers, the plus sign means addition, minus sign means subtraction. This is multiplication, this is division. Yes or no? Your concept is clear, your logic is clear. The problem is you will take time to do it manually. Yes or no? But your logic is clear, you understand. Plus means addition, minus means subtraction, across means multiplication, and this means division, right? But you are slow, you cannot make it faster. But your logic is clear. If I give you some time, you can definitely calculate it. Yes or no?
Yes.
So what you have done? to make it faster, you have developed a calculator, right? Calculator you have developed, and then calculator, you had given the logic on the calculator, right? If somebody entered digits and between that plus sign means has to done the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. This logic you have given on the calculator. Does calculator has its own logic? The answer is no. We have given the logic, right? The sense on the calculator we have given. The programming we have given. That means we were clear about the logic behind that, right? Then we have given the logic, we have defined the logic on the calculator, and calculator can make it fast. What we cannot do it fast, but calculator can make it fast. Yes or no? Understand?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, what happens when you monitor the logs in the SIEM? What you have to be clear? Somebody is sending where is the link? What I'm saying, when logs are coming on your SIEM, let's say instead of 10,000, 15,000 logs, if you have 10 logs, if I ask you to investigate whether it is legitimate or it is suspicious, if you are able to analyze these 10 logs, that means your concept is clear, right? You're able to analyze, your concept is clear, logic is clear. But the problem here is, here you have 10,000, 15,000 logs. That's the reason you are not able to monitor, because the logs are numbers are high. Being a human, you cannot, you cannot monitor so many logs at the same time. But your concept is clear. If logs are less, you would have investigated, right? So main is logic, main is concept. If your concept is clear, in that case, but problem is, being a human being, you cannot monitor per second 10,000, 15,000 logs. In this case, you like how you develop the calculator, right? You ask calculator to calculate. Similarly, you can ask your SIEM to monitor each and every logs on behalf of you. Then SIEM will ask, okay, I can monitor, but how will I come to know what event is suspicious, or what set of events are suspicious, and what action has to be taken, right? Then that logic we have to define. So first of all, we have to understand, right, what is suspicious, what is not suspicious. So what event or what sort of event are suspicious, we have to understand first, right? Then we can define here the condition, as well as after if it is matching, then what action has to be taken. Calculator, once calculate, display the result on the display, right, as an action. Similarly, we can configure, okay, once it is matches as a as a this one as a suspicious activity, this condition matches, then generate an alert, create a ticket on service now, right? Send an email notification. So different type of action we can configure. So that means you same telling, I can monitor all the logs on real time, but you have to define the logic. For example, in your company, you log in on one Windows system. You log in the user, let's say Sumit. Sumit logged in, trying to log in on this Windows system. Login got failed, right? Login got failed. The event, it will get generated and it will come to the SIEM. Is this suspicious? Is this suspicious?
No.
The answer is no. He might have forgot the password. He might have mistyped the password. But if, let's say, from the same user Sumit, if there are more than 100 login failure in next 1 minute from same user, and you received more than 100 login failure in 1 minute in SIEM, is this a matter of concern?
Yes, suspicious.
Yes,
The answer is yes. It can be a brute force activity. It may be possible that one particular system has been compromised and attacker is using Sumit username and trying with multiple different passwords, right? And none of the password has worked, and resulting high number of login failure attempt has been generated. This is definitely not a manual activity, right? Someone is already inside, especially if you talk about Windows, it is you'll have private IP address, right? That means machine is definitely compromised, right? I mean, machine may have compromised. There are some false positive reason also, but there are chances that machine may have compromised, and attacker might have installed brute force software and trying to gain the access to the other machine, right? By keeping the username as constant and trying multiple combination of password. Because normal user, he will try to log in 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time. He will not try 100 times, right? Instead, he will call service dash to reset his password. So you understand here, my objective was to tell you here, giving this scenario is, one single event is not suspicious. Means if I'm asking to monitor login failure activity for Windows, one single event is not suspicious, it's not a matter of concern. But if within short period of time, there are high number of login failure happening, then it can be a matter of concern. Yes or no? Get a point? While in
Yes.
other, let's say, we have a critical servers, right? Critical Windows or Linux servers or critical devices we have. Let's say that particular Windows server, let's say Windows server, it got shut down. This server got shut down. It will generate an event that Windows server got shut down, right? It's a critical server, right? Once it is shut down, it will generate how many event? Only one event, right? Only one event. In this case, even a one event generated is a matter of concern, right?
Yes.
Understand? So my objective was to tell you certain time we have to define if this condition matches, then how many event within what period of time, and certain time even a single event is a matter of concern. Understand? So when we ask our SIEM to monitor each and every logs on behalf of us, right, we have to define the condition. For example, I want to monitor login failure for the machine, right? Login failure. So I have to define the condition for login failure. Condition, right? Login failure condition for Windows logs. Then I have to define number of events, right? Condition I will define the Splunk query language, how to identify Windows logs, right? Because logs will be all the devices, right? So we have to identify Windows logs and again login failure logs. So login failure condition I will define. Here number of logs event, let's say 100, and then we have to define time. Let's say in 2 minutes. Means in 2 minutes of time, if there are 100 login failure event happens, then action, let's say, generate an alert. Generate an alert. Apart from that, send email notification, create a ServiceNow ticket, right? Multiple action, but this is mandatory. Apart from the other action also we can set. So here we can see for login failure condition, we have defined 100 in 2 minutes. What for critical server monitoring, we have defined one. Every event means every single event alert should be triggered. Maybe 1 in 1 minute. That means every event. You got my point? Clear my point? So we have to define. So we have to define Splunk what has to be monitored. So we have to define the condition along with aggregation. That means number of event and time. This whole is called as correlation. It's correlating, right? A condition along with number of event and time. It's actually correlating, right? If both are correlated, means matched, then only it will take the action, right? So second feature of your SIEM is real-time monitoring, means it will monitor each and every logs. Correlation, it will correlate and alerting. So real-time monitoring, correlation and alerting. So that is the second feature of the SIEM, real-time monitoring, correlation and alerting feature. You can automate this monitoring. You can tell your Splunk, you can tell your SIEM to monitor each and everything on behalf of you. But what has to be monitored? First, you have to be clear, right? Then only you can define the logic. Means you should know the investigation analysis. You should know what activity is suspicious, what activity capture on which device log it is suspicious. Then you can tell your SIEM to monitor on behalf of you. What a point? Clear this to everybody? Any question?
No, sir. Thank you so much. to explain very well.
No, sir. Thank you so much.
Let's write the definition of SIM. If you want to write, you can write. SIM stand. Yes.
Sir, we'll understand, right, how this architecture is, no, for the Splunk, like how it is collecting the logs. So is there
Right.
any?
It's whole
Yeah.
practical, theory plus practical both.
Yeah. So we'll understand it in the next, suppose in the next classes, right?
What?
So we'll be understanding the next classes, like how these logs are getting collected and how the correlation is happening and where it is getting
Moving
stored.
forward,
Yeah.
because that all part of step by step we will move forward.
Okay.
Step
Okay.
by step.
Yeah.
When will happen means once we'll reach on that level. I mean, I'll be explaining you the steps, which step we are going to cover what. I'll tell you. So if you want to write, let's write what is definition of SIM. If you want to write, SIM stand for Security Information and Event Management. Do you want to write?
Yes, sir. It will helpful for study.
Okay. So SIM stand for Security Information and Event Management.
Sir, I
Which-
have one query.
Mhm.
As you have said that this Splunk is doing the both activity, like data
Right.
analytics and even the
Ah,
SIM part, right?
Right.
So whatever the other products that are prevalent in the market, like the ArcSight or even Sentinel one, with whether they are
Sentinel one,
also
only
performing this.
Sentinel. Not Sentinel one.
So
Microsoft
sorry,
Sentinel.
yes,
Sentinel one is XDR, separate.
okay. Even IBM QRadar. So they are
Uh,
also performing the same activities, or they are
right
working just like
right
as.
now, I just explain you about the SIM feature. These all are same feature only. Data analytics, I
Mhm.
didn't explain you yet.
No. Whether their products support these both features, or only Splunk is having the capability of supporting these two.
Which both feature? These both or
And
SIM?
data analytics and SIM.
No. Only SIM. These are only SIM.
Only SIM.
Yes.
Okay.
Splunk has both feature.
Okay.
Now your Elasticsearch also, it was formerly a data analytics tool. Now they have added SIM feature as well. Elasticsearch, Kibana, they're coming with the SIM also. But Splunk is leading the market. But your QRadar, Microsoft Sentinel, ArcSight, Logarithm, all are SIM tool, like what I have explained you, right? These features they are having.
Okay.
Data analytics, I have not explained you till now. I'll be explaining you. You write SIM is a security information and event management. It's a centralized tool. It's a centralized tool which collects the real-time logs. SIM is the centralized tool which collects the real-time logs from network devices. Security devices. Servers. Applications. Databases, etc. Database, etc. Once it collects the logs,
Sorry, sir. Are you writing something? I don't know.
No.
Stuck
I'm
on
just telling
something.
you.
Oh,
I'm just telling. Yeah, I'm just telling you. You written?
Yes. Until once it is collect the logs.
Once it collects the logs, Once it collects the logs, it parses the logs. Parsing normalization, I will tell you what is that if you don't know. It parses the logs, normalizes the logs, normalization, right? Normalizes the logs, and keep the log for a long time. And keep the logs for a long time. Keep the log long time. Bracket. Keep the logs long time, bracket. Bracket. Based on the organizational requirement. Based on the organizational requirement. Forensics requirement. Forensics requirement. Audit and compliance requirement. Bracket close. Bracket close and right. It enables us searching and reporting feature, and it enable us searching and reporting feature. It keeps the log for a long time, and it enable us searching and reporting feature. And it enable us searching and reporting feature. Next paragraph. SIEM also has the feature of real-time monitoring, correlation, and alerting. SIEM also has the feature of real-time monitoring, correlation, and alerting. Parsing normalization, I will tell you what is that. Then if you want to write, you can write later per year.
Sorry, sir. Real-time monitoring, correlation, right?
And correlation and alerting.
And
SIEM
alerts.
also has the feature of real-time monitoring, correlation, and alerting. Written?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Clear, right, to everybody? So now, as of now, you understand normalization means it will convert unreadable format, raw format to the readable common format, right? Technical definition, what is technically, how it happens, I will show you practically. Then you'll have a better understanding how SIEM converts this different format logs to the common format. I'll explain you when we see the logs. Okay. So that is about the SIEM, right? So in this training, we are actually going to talk about the same feature of Splunk, right? So in this training, we are going to cover, let me tell you what we are going to cover, so that you will have a whole idea. First of all, we talk about a different component of Splunk, right? What are the different, because see, these all are Splunk, Rocksite, QRadar, these all to the enterprise level of tools, right? Means big company deploys. So you will not have like one component which will do all the work, right? So their deployment are distributed deployment, distributed architecture. That means you will have different component. That means different component will do the different work, right? So all the including all the component we call Splunk deployment architecture, right? So first of all, we'll understand what are the different component of a Splunk, right? What different component does, responsibility, we'll understand. Then we'll talk about detailed architecture of the Splunk that we call as cluster architecture. For example, in a small company, you will have single HR, right? For example, our SIEM expert is startup, right? We'll have single HR. Means you'll have a Splunk, one Splunk will do everything, collecting the logs, keeping the log for a long time, searching and reporting, real-time monitoring, correlation and alerting, everything single. In mid-sized company, you have one HR for recruitment, and then one HR for, let's say, operations, one HR for, let's say, handling the compliance and legal cases, right? For different cases, you have one HR, right? Means you don't have single HR, right? Because single HR cannot do. In a startup company, you have single HR who manage the operations also, recruitment also, compliance also in SIEM expert. Small company, right? In mid-sized company, you have one HR for recruitment, one HR for operations, one HR for compliance. In enterprise level of company, you will have multiple HRs, right? Who will be doing the recruitment? Multiple HRs who will be doing the operations. Multiple HRs who will be doing the compliance, right? So our Splunk enterprise architecture is like this only. Yes or no? So we are going to discuss about all these three models. This single HR model, one recruitment, one operation, one compliance model, this model, as well as the major model that you in Splunk Enterprise is this model. In enterprise company is this model, right? Means all the component will have multiple instances which will be connected together to do the load balance. So you have multiple recruitment because one recruiter cannot handle the load, right? Bigger company, you will have huge requirement, huge recruitment. So one HR cannot handle the load. So they will have a manager, right, to manage. The manager will assign the work, right? And load balance. Similarly, Splunk also certain component which will have multiple instances to load balance, and you'll have one manager who will manage these component. Manager means human, not human. A Splunk manager, right? Understand? So that is what we cover in this this training. This architecture is a bit complex architecture that we are going to talk about. This is called a cluster architecture, Splunk cluster, because all are connected with each other, right? And doing the load balance. So after that, this different component, then we'll cover this architecture, then we'll talk about this architecture, cluster architecture, right? So first of all, theoretically we'll talk about. Then after that, we'll do the deployment. All this component will deploy on our servers, right? How to set up this cluster, we'll deploy. Then after deployment, we'll talk about how to integrate devices. The integration session is. So next step is now this understand about the architecture, right? Each and every parameter we are going to understand. Then we'll talk about integration of devices. That means how to get the logs from your Linux devices, Windows devices, firewalls, any devices, how to get the log. Your concept is going to clear here. Practical we will talk about here because we have Linux, Windows, and firewall practical here. So we'll do the practically. Rest we understand as per the documentation how to integrate any kind of device. Because whenever you go to the company, right, even you have 10 years, 15 years experience of device integration, but whenever you go to the company, you will always find new vendor devices which you have never integrated, right? But do you think that you will not be able to integrate because you have never integrated that particular device? The answer is no, because your concept is clear, right? Your logic is clear how to integrate. So I'm going to clear your logic how to integrate any kind of device, right? So three type of devices will be integrating practically, and will be clearing your logic how to integrate any kind of devices, right? So now next that session was to integrate devices. Now logs are coming. Then we talk about logs are coming. Then along with that, after log integration, before log integration only, I will tell you about that is the next step actually, device integration, because there are a lot more in this architecture. This architecture is not very simple. Lot of things are there, how to manage the configuration using backend configurations, backend directory. This architecture is very, very complex. If you go through any YouTube training or any training outside, I'm telling you, you are not going to understand easily, but we will understand in the very easiest language how to manage the configuration using CLI, using backend configuration file, using GUI, different apps we have to deploy on each and every instances that we are going to manage. Then how to take the backup backup also, backup, then upgrade of these instances, because upgrades will not happen one by one. At the same time, how we can do that? Upgrade also we'll talk about, and then we talk about licenses, right? Before that only we'll talk about licenses, but we'll see that practically as well, how to apply the licenses. Apart from that, before going with the architecture, we are going to talk about different indexes, how to store the data for a long time, creation of indexes, right? A lot of activities are there within this architecture, a lot of activities that you don't know right now, but you understand, right? Then we'll start with integration devices. After discussing a deep dive about the architecture, then we'll discuss about the integration of devices, right? After integration of devices, we'll talk about if any device is not reporting, right? What kind of a troubleshooting you can do, right? What parameter you can follow if any device is not reporting to the Splunk, that we can talk about. After that, logs are coming to the architecture, right? Now searching and reporting. Searching and reporting. That not very deep dive, because searching and reporting comes under power user training. So what as SOC analyst, what kind of searching and reporting required? We'll cover some SPL command as well. So then we'll talk about searching and reporting on one session, right? After that, we'll understand how to deploy Splunk Enterprise Security. Right now, I know that you guys are not aware, because you are not very familiar with the Splunk. So over to enable SIEM feature on the Splunk, because formerly Splunk was a data analytics tool. To enable SIEM feature, we have to install one app that is called Splunk Enterprise Security. And that is what you don't get outside, because that is licensed product. So we'll understand how to install Splunk Enterprise Security over the Splunk Enterprise. Then we talk about how to enable real-time monitoring, correlation analytics. That means how to write the use cases correlation rule and where we can monitor, right? That is the last topic of the Splunk. Okay, that is the whole plan. A lot of things are there in between.
Sorry, sir, I have one question.
Yes.
Sir, will you provide any soft copies materials for this kind?
I just have shared. I just have shared in WhatsApp. I think it has been reached or not.
Yeah, I haven't checked. Sorry.
Acha, it is still sending. It is sending actually. I sent,
Okay.
but it is not. I think it's still loading.
Okay. Okay.
You'll get it.
Yeah.
A lot of
Okay, thank you,
document you're going to. These are initial documentation. One is Splunk initial book, another is Splunk admin book. The admin book follows the full syllabus of Splunk administrator certification. Okay. Apart from that, we cover anything from architect perspective. A lot of document that we are going to follow other document on practical training that I'll be following you along with you, and then you will also get those document going forward.
So, sir, a question actually.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't expect us to take a note unless we want to capture something ourselves, right? Because earlier you were dictating a note.
See, important thing you can write, because not everything you'll get in documentation, right? You'll not get everything in documentation, right? Architecture and everything that will be writing here, you write also.
Indeed.
Because same thing you'll not get similar thing on the documentation.
No problem. One more question.
Yes.
Earlier you explained that, we need to define what kind of event we want a trigger to happen. So does the Splunk provide some kind of a profile or some correlation already that these are the known attacks which you can select from the given incidents they know, and then they might be continuously updating that. So we don't, as an administrator, don't have to do this individually or manually each and every type of attack.
Let me tell you that
there would be a known patterns, right?
Not only Splunk, but all the SIEM tools are having some out-of-the-box correlation rules, use cases. But every organization have different set of devices, different set of requirements. So you cannot blindly enable those correlation rules. Those correlation rules are not by default disabled. You have to look at the condition whether it is getting fulfilled as per your requirement. You might have to do certain changes, certain modification on the rules that we call rule fine tuning, right? Certain rule might not be fit completely or might not be fit at all based on your requirement. You may not you are not going to enable it. Certain rule may fit, but needs certain kind of modification. You modify it, fine tune it, then you enable it. Certain time you need a customer rule, then you have to create a customer rule which is not all available. Got your mind?
And do they have like something where you can get a 0-day events, like let's say some malicious attacks are ongoing, and they realize that look, it's pretty much all the companies who are their customers will be beneficial from this.
See, what happens is mostly what correlation rule we create, right? Those correlation rules are mostly for 0-day. 0-day attack means the attack when none of your security devices are having signature to detect it, right? If some traffic is already blocked the firewall, we are not at all bothered about it. It's already blocked, right? Yeah. That's a normal work of the firewall. Some phishing email came, already blocked by the email gateway, you are not bothered about it. But phishing email reached to your user machine, it has not been detected by the firewall based on IP address, nor it has been detected by the email gateway, nor it has been detected by the antivirus. This is called as 0-day, right? So we have option. We can create it if we have certain threat intelligence tool we can integrate, or we can upload certain threat intelligence field. Based on that, we can monitor. We can create the correlation rule. So most of the correlation that we create is for kind of 0-day only, that we can monitor some kind of abnormal activity which are happening and might not have detected by our existing security devices.
So the 0-day attack, it is not there in their the firewall giants like Palo Alto or Checkpoint. They are not aware of it, right?
Right. 0-day attack is an attack when none of your existing security devices are having signature to detect it.
Okay.
Right.
So
that attack we call as 0-day attack.
in this field, like Palo Alto Cortex is available for detecting that 0 attack, right?
There are various devices which claims to have behavioral based, trend based, pattern bases, right?
Yeah.
So we are talking about, I mean, if they are able to detect it, right, it will not be called as 0-day in that case for your network, because you have already security devices, right? It might have blocked it already, right? So if any of the security devices are able to block it, it will not be 0-day for your network.
Yeah.
Got it? Clear?
Thank you.
Clear? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so data analytics. So you understand what is SIEM, right? SIEM used for IT infrastructure to monitor your security posture 24/7, right? It will collect the logs real time from all these devices. It will keep the log for a long time, right? Searching and reporting, and it will monitor real time. You will have several correlation rule. Based on that, it will monitor any suspicious activity. Whenever it will happen, it will generate an alert. Your SOC analyst will actually going to monitor those dashboard where the alert are being fired, which are being generated, right, as per the correlation of the SIEM. Those alert will get generated, and SOC analyst actually going to monitor those alert. Instead of monitoring billions of logs manually, your SOC analyst will monitor a dashboard where you might have 1,000, 2,000 alert in a shift. Maybe if you can fine tune, it can be minimized to a few hundred, right? But I mean, so that we call as SIEM. Everybody is clear what is SIEM, right? Another is data analytics. So Splunk was actually formerly was a data analytics tool. Same feature they introduced later period. See, Splunk started in 2002, right? That time it was a data analytics tool. But let me tell you what example of data analytics. Let's say, for example, Pizza Hut. In India, Pizza Hut, there are around 500 plus outlets are there, 500 plus outlets. And Indian CEO of Pizza Hut is sitting on Delhi. So what happens is, now at the end of the day, Pizza Hut CEO wants to get a report where he want to know what was the top pizza which have been sold today. 10 o'clock outlook, 10 o'clock, those outlets are getting closed. By 11 o'clock in the night, he want to get a report on his table. What was the top pizza of the day? That means pizza which have been sold most, pizza which have been sold least, what was the revenue generated today, total revenue across all the location, total revenue generated, and what was the revenue generated from particular outlet, and similarly monthly report also you want to get. Similarly, this all the different reports. So do you think that how easy it will be? That means every outlet will have to send an email with full report, how many pizza we have sold, what is the least pizza, what was the most pizza we have sold, right, revenue and all. Then somebody sitting on the central location will do the calculation. Okay, there are 5,500 outlets, including all what will be revenue. Don't you think that it's a complex calculation? It's a very difficult task to manage. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Difficult, right? Difficult.
Very
So instead of
difficult.
that, what you will do, you install a Splunk. You install a Splunk. You install one Splunk in central location, you install a Splunk, and all the outlets are having a POS machine, right? Point of sales. You have seen, right? Point of sales machine, where he will put something, computer, desktop, he'll mention order, pay money, he'll select the product, one
Yeah.
bill will get generated, right? That we call
Yes.
point of sales. So, when you place the order, at what time you have placed the order, what product you have ordered, what was the cost, what was the cost of the product, as well as outlet ID will get generated in the form of logs, right? In a Splunk, we call as data. In all the Splunk documentation, the log is being called as data, right? So, it will generate it in the form of logs, right? Now, those logs will be sent to the SIEM, sent to the Splunk, right? All the POS machine will be integrated and send those logs to the SIEM. Sorry, Splunk, not SIEM, to the Splunk, right? Splunk is a centralized console. Now, Splunk has very good query language here. Splunk is data analytics tool, right? Even better than Excel. Splunk is much better than Microsoft Excel. What different pivot table you create, right? Chart you create and a filter you place, right? Splunk is having much better query language than your Excel. So various table, you are various, after getting this data, you can create a chart, you can create a table, right? You can get the report here, you can get a visualization. So by putting the query, you can come to know how many what was the total revenue generated based on this ID of particular outlets. You'll come to know particular outlets, how much revenue has been generated, and by putting the Splunk queries, it will make the summation of all the revenue generated by each and every outlets. Apart from that, what was the top pizza which has been sold based on number of pizza which have been sold by particular outlets, and it will calculate all pizzas and check the numbers. Based on that, you can create a top pizza table or visualization, right? Least pizza which has been sold, monthly report, weekly report, different kind of data analytics that you can do on the Excel. Similar thing you can do on the Splunk as well as live. If you're getting it in no time, within few moments, you can generate that report. Means no need to call to someone, no need to send the report on the email, right? What a point? Clear this? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is called as data analytics. So if somebody is working in the Splunk, right, it does not mean that he's a part of cybersecurity. You will find some people working on a Splunk, but they do not know the ABCD of cybersecurity. That means they're working on Splunk from data analytics perspective, not from cybersecurity perspective. I have various people who are actually working on the Splunk, but they come to know that Splunk is highly demanding tool from SIEM perspective. They're getting sometimes calls also because the recruiter do not know, right, that Splunk is being used for data analysis also. And random call they're getting from recruiter, and they come to know that Splunk is highly paid job you can get in Splunk. And now they're joining, okay, I have a Splunk experience already, but I want to get it from cybersecurity perspective. So that is how people who work on the Splunk does not mean that always in cybersecurity. They might be working on a data analytics perspective. Got it clear?
Yes, sir. Can we write down the definition?
No definition of data analysis.
Okay. Okay.
Anyways, nobody is going to ask you. You're not going to work from data analytics perspective. Nobody is going to ask you.
Okay.
That I have just explained because Splunk has that feature. That's the reason. Just give me a moment, okay? I'll be just coming in a moment.
Sure. Can we take a short break, sir?
Short break for okay. 5 minute break. You can take 5 minute.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Thank you.
5 minute break. Okay. It
Okay,
is 6:51 right now. 6:56 we will connect. Okay.
Okay,
Exactly by 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, shall we start now?
Yes.
Okay. Before we continue and start with Splunk architecture and different component, let me show you in the SIEM definition you have written, right? Once SIEM will collect the log, it will parse the log and normalize the logs, right? Let me show you what is parsing and what is normalization. Then you can write the definition as well if you want to write. Let me show you practically first. It will be easy for you to understand. I'll be showing my screen. I'll log in my firewall. This is the Fortinet firewall that we have here. Okay, so go on the login report. Traffic. I'll be downloading the logs. Okay, these logs we can download here. You see how the logs are being recorded. Firewall logs and all, how the logs are being recorded. And if you log in the firewall, and you want to analyze the log yourself, right? How the logs are being recorded. You can see total. Only 3-4 fields are showing in the log, right? If you want to analyze full logs, you have to download only. That's the only option you can see. My firewall is recording just 104 logs. You can see few minute logs only, just minute ago. Just 2 minute log it has been recorded, I think. Just we have how many? 104, 2 minutes log. That is again lab firewall. That's again less, but you can see my firewall is not recording the logs for a long time. Because see certain devices will have which are not recording the logs for a long time. That is a concern. If this Fortinet firewall, if we don't have SIEM, it is not recording the log for a long time, then in that case, we have to buy a separate reporter from Fortinet. The reporter coming along with that you have to buy if you want to store the log for a long time. So, but by default, those devices are not recording the logs. So now, if you want to analyze, right, the logs, Fortinet logs, so let's see how it is being recorded and how the logs are looking like. Because see, this is the logs. See how difficult and how easy to evaluate. Now you can see the only 1024 logs are there, right? In typical IT network, you will have billions of logs in the firewall for per day, lot of logs. You can see just 2 minute log, this many 2 minutes log. You can see. Is it easy for you to analyze?
No.
This is called a raw log, right? Because it's a mass, it is just a mass, right? So this log we call a raw log. How device record the logs on the same format, this log we call a raw logs. Let me tell you what is parse logs. Date, so now you tell me from analysis perspective, this is easy for you to understand or this format is good for you?
The structured ones.
Or
Yes.
this one is better? The upper one, right?
Yes.
This log is called as parse logs. Parsing nothing but the breaking down the event into the rows and columns, right? Parsing means breaking down the event into the rows and columns, right? You have this, we have only rows. This is column, right? So vertical means column, right? And rows. So some will have like vertical and horizontal, and some will have like this, right? So parsing means breaking down the event into the rows and column. It will not change the field name nor the value. Value will not get changed anytime, but field name also will not get changed. You can see nothing has been changed, just how the log has been broke down, right? That has been changed. The this is called as parse logs, right? This log is parsed logs. This is parse logs. Understand? Everybody is clear?
Yes.
Parsing, right? So once SIEM collect the logs, right? One thing it does it parse the log. Means it will break down the event into the rows and columns. A proper structure way, right? So this log is not a raw log, it is called as parse logs. Now you see, this is FortiGate firewall logs, right? Let me check a few detail. Let's say, for example, SRC IP, right? SRC IP means
Source IP.
Source IP.
you can say DST IP,
Destination
destination
IP,
DST port, destination port,
destination
and so on.
port.
Also different field set we have. Let me give you an example. Let's say source IP address. In FortiGate firewall logs, what we are getting for source IP address, the field name is SRC IP, right? SRC IP. And if you check, let's say Cisco firewall, it will capture as, one moment, it will capture as source IP. In for example, let's say in Windows, it capture as source. All are source IP only, right? The actually meaning is source IP meaning means the device from which the connection has been originated, right? Yes or no? The meaning
Yes,
is
yes.
the device from which the connection has been originated. But there is no standard, means there is no standard has been defined for each and every devices. What field name you have to give? FortiGate firewall has given for source IP name is SRC IP address. Cisco has given source IP. This checkpoint has given source. Some devices are giving source address. Some devices are not even giving, right? So right now this is Fortinet firewall logs. If you get in the Splunk, it will record it as a source IP address, right? Checkpoint, source, Cisco as a source IP. If you want to search the logs from this particular source IP address, all the devices logs, right? So don't you think that you will have to remember the field set? Okay, for FortiGate firewall source IP, I have to search, then I have to type SRC IP. If Cisco firewall, then I have to type source IP. Checkpoint, I have to type source IP equal to. You understand, right? Get a point? All are meaning
Yes.
source IP only, but different vendors are giving different field name. There is no standard. In that case, searching will be difficult, right? You have to remember every time. Yes or no? So
Yes,
what
sir.
SIEM does is every SIEM support the feature called as normalization. That means once you collect the SIEM, means it is a compliance requirement also that your SIEM should support the normalization. Government said, the compliance said that it is not going to work. Different field, a different device having different field, it is not going to work. Once you have the lock on the SIEM, all the data sources should be having the same field set, common field set. Whatever you want to give, different vendor may give different common field set, but for particular field, there should be a common field set. For example, in ArcSight, source IP address will be mapped with source address field. Means either SRC IP, source IP, source, SRC, all will be mapped with the common field called as source address. Get your point? So it will convert. it will map the device specific field set with the SIM defined common field set. So in case of ArcSight, for example, the common field set name is source address. In case of Splunk, the common field set name for source is src_IP. Means it should be common, but any field you can define. Get what I'm saying? Is everybody clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So similar, just I have given example of source address, right? Similarly, all these field, this should be having common field set name, right? Should not be the device specific field set. Relate, maybe the time being captured on all the devices. Log ID is kind of event ID. If it is event ID, then it should be captured by almost all the devices. Then it should be common field name, right? So you will not have to remember which field I have, which data I have to search in which field name. So what happens is once your SIM collect the logs, it parse the logs like this, as well as it normalizes out. Means it will map this device specific field set with the SIM defined common field sets. That is called as normalization. So you do not have to remember every device now will have the common format of logs, common field set. Understand? Those common field set in case of Splunk, we call as SIEM. Splunk is having 300 plus common field set. That field set we call as SIEM, means common information model. What we call as common information model, right? But different SIM are having different. For example, in case of ArcSight, that common field set is CEF. CEF. That means common event format. Common event format, right? Understood about everybody? What is normalization? Clear? Any confusion? You can write then. What is parsing? Parsing nothing but the breaking down the event into the rows and columns. Sometime interview may ask you. Basic question.
Sir, can you say that again, please? Parcel. What?
Parsing is nothing but the breaking down the event into the rows and columns. Rows, right? Rows means rows and columns. Written. And now you write normalization. Normalization is nothing but the mapping of device specific field sets normalization is nothing but the mapping of device specific field set with the SIM defined common field sets. With this SIM defined common field set.
Your screen is stuck here.
No. I'm not writing anything. I'm not writing. I'm just telling you to write. Written? Mapping of device specific field set with the Splunk with the SIM defined common field set. In case of Splunk, common field set normalized field set name is CIM. In case of Splunk, common field set name is CIM. That means common information model. You can return. Okay. In case of Splunk, common field set name is CIM. That means common information model. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. Okay, I'll be coming on the board now. Okay. So as I said, Splunk architecture is distributed architecture. So there are three main components of one Splunk. Let me draw these component. The three main component. Forwarder, indexer, and this is search head. These are your end devices, like Windows, firewall, router, switch, right? Various devices that end devices that you will be integrating. Drawn this architecture. Hidden?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you can see there are three main
Yes.
components, right? One is forwarder, second is indexer, and third is search head, right? So what forwarder does? So forwarder is a component of Splunk which collect the log from end devices such as your network devices, security device, servers, application databases, right? As I said, you already, right? Not one component which can do everything, right? Splunk had distributed responsibility to the different component so that one component will not be overloaded, right? So Splunk has the distributed architecture. So in this architecture, this component called as forwarder, which collect the logs from different devices, network device, security device, servers, application databases. Once it collects the logs, it will, so what it does, input means receiving the logs, then parsing, filtering, receiving, filtering, receiving, parsing, filtering, right? Receiving input, parsing, filtering, then forwarding. So what it does, it will collect the log from all these devices. Once it collect the log, it will parse the logs. Parsing, you understand, right? It will filter out the event as well. Some noise is coming. Noise, Anand. So what it will does, it will filter out the unnecessary. For example, some logs are coming from firewall, right? Some logs are unnecessarily logs which you don't want from security perspective. So you have the option to drop off those logs on the forwarder level, right? So it support the forward filtering as well. That is optional. If you want to filter out some unnecessary log, then you can apply the filtering. So it will receive the logs, parse the logs, filter out the logs, and then forward it to the indexer. You can see I have not used the word normalization. While many of the SIEM tools like ArcSight, you have QRadar, what they will do is the receiving component like forwarder you have, right? In ArcSight, we have connector. What it does, it collect the logs, parse the logs, normalize the logs, then only it send the logs for long time retention. Means parsing and normalization happen at the same time. But in this Splunk, it does not happen at the same time. This forwarder will collect the logs, parse the logs, filter out the logs, then forward an indexer for long time retention, but it will not normalize the logs. Why? Because your Splunk was formerly a data analytics tool, right? Splunk was not designed considering the SIEM feature, right? So from this forwarder, indexer, and search head, this architecture is common. Either you are using for SIEM perspective or you are using for data analytics perspective. SIEM perspective, one more component application that you have to install over the search head, I will tell you. To make it a SIEM to enable real-time monitoring, correlation writing, you have to install an app that is called Splunk Enterprise Security over the search app. But this architecture will remain common even you are using for data analytics perspective, right? So for data analytics perspective, normalization is not required, right? So that is the reason while collecting the logs, Splunk forwarder only parse the logs. It does not normalize the logs. Normalization happens during the searching. You have to install some kind of add-ons that I will tell you the later period on the search head to get the normalization. Means it will collect the logs, forward indexer will store the logs, and logs are parsed but not normalized, right? Normalization happen during the search time on the Splunk, not while collecting the logs. That is a little difference than other SIEM tool we have in Splunk. Clear this point? Clear, everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So forwarder, what it does, it collect the logs, parse the logs, filter out the logs, and forward the logs to the indexer. You can write what is forwarder. You can write
I have
forwarder.
one question.
Yes, yes.
How this forwarder fetch the data from Windows or even from firewall or router?
That we'll discuss. Theoretically also step by step and practically also.
Okay.
All we are going to discuss about how this is going to happen, right? I'm just giving you the high level of understanding that this happens. I'm telling you this happens. This is done by the component. How it is done by the component, that is the point of discussion and doing it practically. Has to be done practically. Okay.
So
Let's
the
write
third
it.
component,
Sir, I have one.
third component is search head. So it's basically a search engine.
The search component. I'll tell you. One by one, we'll explain.
Sir, I have one question. In what stage this aggregation of logs will happen?
Splunk does not support aggregation feature. That's a drawback, you can say. Splunk does not support aggregation feature.
Okay.
Certain cases, myself have deployed ArcSight connector for aggregating the logs.
Okay.
To optimize the license usage, because Splunk does not support aggregation. Okay, clear? Let's write forwarder. So forwarder is the component of Splunk which collect the logs from end devices. Such as network devices, security devices. Such as network device, security device, server application databases, etc. Once it collect the logs, Once it collects the logs, parse the logs, it parses the logs, filters out the logs. Once it collects the log, it parses the logs, filter out the logs. And send it to indexer.
Hello, sir.
So filtering the logs means parsing means
Filter out the
breaking
log.
down.
I said right. Filter out the unnecessary logs if you have weekend drop off before reaching the indexer. For example, firewall you're looking certain logs, right, which is not required to keep the logs in indexer for a long time for security perspective. So you have often to drop off those logs before reaching the indexer. Whatever point?
Yes.
Clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what you have written?
It send it to indexer.
Indexers, right? So that is about the forwarder, right? Let's talk about indexer. What it does? What indexer does? Receive the logs. Receiving from it can receive the logs from forwarder as well as directly from the end devices. Let me tell you, I will tell you receiving, then parsing, then licensing, then after that compression, then indexing, then finally writing the data on the disk. Writing the data on the disk. So what indexer does? Indexer receives the log from the forwarder as well as it has the capability to receive the log directly from the end devices. Then it will pass the logs. Then you might have question, why do we need forwarder then? Do you have this question? If indexer can collect the log directly from the end devices
Yeah, I do
and
have.
pass the logs, then why do we need forwarder?
Yes.
Why can't we receive directly the logs from the end devices to the indexer?
Might be load balance.
What happens? What?
Load balance.
Right. For reducing the load on the indexer. What happens is, if indexer is receiving the logs from the end device directly, indexer will have to parse the logs. Receiving, then parsing. We'll have to do the parse. Parsing will take a lot of resources like CPU and memory, right? It will take a lot of resources. See, what happens is everybody has their own capability, right? Capability. For example, if I am eating, let's say, 4 chapatis, I am generating these many, let's say 800 calories after eating every day. I may eat more chapatis, more food. I'm generating now 1200 calories. I may have more, I can do more work, right? But can you eat 20 chapati and can do the work of 4 people? The answer is no, right? Everybody has the abilities, right?
Correct.
Everybody has, of course, you are eating something that, and if you have more calorie, you can do some more work, but not like double or triple work. Certain threshold is there. Similarly, when you install a Splunk on the server, it will use memory and CPU, right? So if you do all the activities from one instance, if it is high utilization, happening on CPU and memory, you can increase the memory and resources. Till some extent, it will improve the performance. After some time, after some threshold, it is not going to improve anything, even though you assign memory and CPU more. Because every application will have certain threshold to handle the traffic, to handle the load, right? After increasing CPU and memory, it is not going to make any changes. Getting a point? Clear? So if you're thinking that, okay, we can receive the logs from indexer only and do the parsing here only and increase the CPU and memory, so that is not the solution, because every single application will have its own threshold, how much memory and CPU you can assign. If load is more, even if you assign more and more, it is not going to improve. Clear this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Clear this point to everybody?
Yeah.
So what happens? So now if you are receiving the log from the end devices, indexer will have to parse the logs. To reduce one level of load, we have forwarder. Forwarder will collect the logs from end devices and it will parse the logs. So whenever indexer will receive the logs on input, on its input, it will check whether logs are parsed or not. Definitely, if it receives the log from end device directly, logs will not be parsed. And if received the log from forwarder, it will be parsed. If logs are parsed already, it will skip this step, parsing. If logs are not unparsed logs on the input, then it will have to do the parsing. What a point? Clear this now?
Yes, sir.
Right? So to reduce one level of load only, we have the forwarder in place so that indexer load can be reduced, right? So after, so this is the architecture, means in the enterprise level, you will have a forwarder definitely, right, to handle the load. Okay, so after receiving, it will do the parsing, then license meter will run. Each and every logs, see in indexer is the component which will use the license based on the usage. Your forwarder do not require any paid license, but as soon as you receive the logs on the indexer, indexer will use the license based on how much logs you're receiving, right? So when you receive the logs, parsing is already done, then it will not parse, then it will go to the licensing. License meter will run and count the log from the licensing perspective, right? Splunk license works based on GB per day. Unlike different tools work on the event per second basis also per day, while your Splunk works based on the GB per day, right? I'm just giving the brief information. There is a separate topic called licensing, on which I'll be talking about if violation will happen, what will happen, different situation, right? I'm just giving a brief. That means, let's say, your Splunk, how it will calculate the licenses based on size of the event, not the number of event, right? In 24 hours, license calculation happen by 12 o'clock in night. In last 24 hours, how many event you receive? It is not based on number of event. However, it is based on size of the event, total size, total GB, how much is required, right? So let's say an average size of particular event is around 300 byte, average size, but it calculates based on the actual size. I'm just telling you, the average size of an event is 300 byte, right? Then in last 24 hours, how many event you have received, right? You might get some idea how will be the size, right? So we buy the license based on the GB per day. Let's say, for example, 100 GB per day, 100 GB, 200 GB, 1 TB, 2 TB per day. You got a point? So number of event, it will not consider what was the size of particular event, right? I'm just telling you the average size. Sometimes, for example, Windows event is higher in size, around 450 byte. Firewall event will be around 250 byte. Router event will be around 200 byte, right? But different type of devices are having different size of the event. Got a point? Clear this to everybody?
Yes,
Clear?
sir. Yes.
So
Sir.
each and every event will be counted for the license, right? And by 12 o'clock only in the night, it will check in last 24 hours how much you have received. For example, you bought 100 GB license. So is this more than 100 GB or less than 100? Less than 100 GB, no problem. More than 100 GB kind of violation. So what will happen after that? I'll tell you type of licenses and what will happen. Okay. So only indexer will do that activity. We'll have to pay the license for the indexers only. Okay, because indexer is only going to hold the data. So the license means how much log you receive, not how much many logs you keep, not how many logs, how much is the size of your storage, right? It is how much logs you receive, what is the size of the event, right? Not how much is the disk size of your storage.
So that
Get my
means
point?
the large industries, they have to go with more GB of data for
Of
industry.
course, because how much you are receiving, right? That time maybe 100 GB, 200 GB, 1 TB, 2 TB per day for bigger companies, right? So
Yeah.
it is how much per day size you are receiving. Based on that, you have to calculate the that Splunk will calculate the license, right? So after
Okay.
parsing, it will calculate the
Okay,
license.
one small question. Like, let's say if a medium-sized organization takes like 10 GB per day license, and what if the logs surpass it? So does it block it, or does
That
it?
I'm going to discuss. That I'll be discussing licensing topic. It's a kind of violation of license, but you will get certain grace period, certain days of grace period. So it will not block. You'll have certain grace period so that you can upgrade the license. Okay. In detail, I will tell you in detail on the licensing topic. But you'll get certain days of grace period so that your searching and reporting as well as your indexing will not be, your receiving the data will not be suppressed. Okay, clear? Clear? Okay, so after licensing, you have the option of compression. Compressor means to compress, to reduce the size of the event storage, right? You have the option of compression. Keep in mind, compression is happening after licensing, right? Splunk is smart, not fool. So actual size will be calculated for licensing. After that, before keeping your data on the storage, you have the option to compress it. Understand? Okay. After that, indexing. After compression, the log will get indexed.
Sir, so what happened in that compression actually? Can you just explain a little bit?
Compress means compression, right? You don't know compression? Compression size?
No.
Compression and decompression.
Right. So what is
You
the
make a zip also, right? To
size
compress the
actually?
size. It will get it will reduce the
so if there
storage.
is or storage size.
Storage to reduce the storage size.
Okay.
If you have something, right, you can compress and keep it in the smaller storage.
Okay. Okay.
Understand? That is called as compression.
So some ratio is there, right? Sir, 10:1 ratio. Some ratio is there in the compression. Like 1 to 100.
Compression will be 0.5. 0.5 means 1:2. 1:2.
Here, compression of the event size or compression of the storage size?
Whole event size, particular event size.
Yeah, I think it's compressing the event size, not the
event size.
okay.
Not the what?
No, not the like you like storage size. Yeah.
No, storage. Event will get storage, right? Storage requirement will be less. If event size will get reduced, then storage required will be also half, right? Reduced how much storage you are applying, how much compressor you are applying, right? Based on that, storage requirement also will be less.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So understand everybody? Now indexing. Indexing. Did you hear this word indexing? Before?
Yes.
Index. You must have seen your notebook or reading book, right?
Yeah.
So index means it actually tells which topic is there in which page. So how it is going to help? By indexing, you can look at, okay, you will refer indexing. For example, in 10th class book, you want to refer Thales theorem, right? It will be easy for you. You look at the table indexing, Thales theorem is page number 59, right? You directly go on page number 55 and find the Thales theorem. Pythagoras theorem on page number 68. directly go on page number 68 and find it, right? Understand? In the first few pages, you will have indexes, and indexes actually helping you for faster search. Yes or no? If you imagine, if you don't have indexes, what you will have to do? Thales theorem you want to find out, right?
It will
You have to
take
check
time.
your full book, right? That means search time will be more and your effort also will be more. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, similarly, same
Array.
concept on the Splunk indexing as well.
Same like the array indexing. Storage, array.
Right. So same concept of the Splunk indexing in the Splunk as well. So what happened in indexing? For every event, the indexing, what happens is Splunk will make two files. See, data was coming, right? 1 event, 2 event, 3 event, 4 event, 5 event, like that, right? So Splunk will have 2 files to store the data. Before storing the data, it will make 2 files. One is TSIDX file, another is raw data. One is TSIDX file, another is raw data. So TSIDX file means time series index file. What it is? Time series index file. What it is having? What you have in your first page, first couple of pages, right? Index in your copy. Same thing you have in this one. So it has the search terms. So what happens is, before it store the logs for a long time, right? In indexer, it will extract the search term. What field that people are going to search, right? Searchable terms. It will extract, right? And keep those searchable terms in the TSIDX file, as well as timing. Particular logs are where on which storage based on the timing, it will be there on the TSIDX file. So index file means it's kind of pointer toward their actual data. The actual data file name will be raw data. When you search, the query will be going to the TSIDX file, that means in short we call index file. In short, we call as index file. When you search the logs, the query will go to the index file. It will search what searchable term you have to search, and that particular data is there on the which storage, storage you have to open. So it will over particular storage. You have page number, right? Which data in which page number? Similarly, it's a time-based time series index file. This defined based on the timing, right? So if you have index, means the searching will be faster. So it will create 2 files. One is TSIDX file, another is raw data. Understand? Clear?
Yes.
Similar work is
Yes.
Similar work happen on the database also. Whether you are using MySQL or Oracle database, you have database tables, right? Which work as a pointer. So Splunk do not use any database for storage for searching perspective. Splunk use index files, right? Splunk store data on the flat files, which are in form of index TSIDX file, right? Index files. So Splunk do not use any kind of database. Splunk use index file instead. Understand? It's a flat file, notepad kind of file, which will be called as index file. Index file will point out to the raw data. The raw data is actually the combination of raw and parse both. This file will store raw and parse both, but the file name is raw data. Understand?
Sir,
it will have
sir,
both the data.
Sir, this 2 file, in where it happen, it indexer or search head?
What?
These 2 files you said.
In
Splunk
indexer. We are talking about indexer work, right?
Oh, sorry.
I mean, there was no space here. That's the reason I mentioned here.
Okay, no problem.
So now we're talking about the functionality of indexer only. This functionality, indexing functionality.
Okay, got it. Sorry.
Okay, this functionality. So actually, search had actually sent the query to indexer only. You can see this arrow like this. You put the query, it will send the query to indexer and search the logs. Once you are searching, the query will go to index file. Index file will search, where is the data, then it will find out the data and give the result to you on the search head.
Okay, thank you.
Clear this point to everybody? Clear? So this full form of this file is TSIDX file. That means time series index file. So in your notebook or reading book, your actual data is more, but raw data size actual data is more, but index file is less, right? Yes or no? But
Sir, this is a confirmation. In the raw data, actually, we have only the first event, right? It's not that raw event that we have received
raw
from.
plus parse both. Raw plus parse both. In a Splunk, you can search raw data also and parse data also, both data. So raw data file will store raw also and parse also.
Okay, the parse data will be compressed data, right?
Raw and parse both are compressed.
Okay.
Both are compressed.
So I have a small doubt. In Curado, there's a like term called event closing. So they want multiple events. If they are same, they closed in one event. So the same happens here, or like
No,
every
that is called
single.
aggregation. That is called as aggregation.
Okay.
Aggregation, we don't have, as I said, multiple same kind of event, right? Within short period of time, you can aggregate and make it one event and total count as 10, right? That is called aggregation. So that does not have any Splunk.
So every single data or log will be compressed, like how we do on system archive.
Correct. Okay. So what I was telling you, that in actual book you have index smaller, right? And you have actual data is bigger size index, but it is opposite here. If you have 100 GB of size, the actual data, including TSIDX and raw, if total storage is taken as 100 GB, right? Then out of that, 63% space will be taken by the what? And 36%, 66.6 and 36.9, 36.6, 3, 66.66%, 66.6 and 33, right? So what do you think that if out of 100 GB, 66 GB and 30, this is the ratio which will be taken by TSIDX file and raw data. So what do you think that this will be TSIDX file or raw data? 66.
TSIDX.
Raw data.
Raw data.
Raw data.
TSIDX.
No, raw data.
Raw data.
Raw data. So that is what I said, right? It is opposite as Splunk. That means TSIDX file takes more space, double than the raw data. It has some internal functionalities, internal file. Because of that, TSIDX file takes double space than the raw data, while in the actual, in your notebook, it takes few pages, right? But in Splunk, it takes double storage than the actual raw data. Raw data you can see is, 1:3, right? And 2:3. 2:3 you have this one. What? TSI, what? Raw data, right? And 1:3, what do you have? 2:3 you have TSIDX file, TSIDX, and 1:3 you have raw data. That means 66% out of 100 will be taken by the TSIDX file and 33% raw data. That means huge amount of disk required by TSIDX file. Getting a point? Clear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So you know what happens when you configure storage, right, on the indexer, you have option to reduce the size of TSIDX file. IDX file reduction. So, for example, if you are frequently searching the log for last 90 days, right? 90 days logs you are frequently searching. Then you have option how long, how many days you want to reduce the TSIDX file. For example, you configure 90 days. Then actual data, you want to keep it for 6 years. but TS-IDX file for 90 days, then till 90 days, TS-IDX file will be there. After that, it will get deleted. But actual data will be there for 6 years. So what will happen is, till the time you have TS-IDX file, searching will be faster. After that, once the TS-IDX file will be removed, the query will directly go to the raw data and the query will be slower. Get my point? Clear this to everybody?
Can
Yes,
you
sir.
repeat, sir?
So
it's a kind
what
of
I'm saying,
archival, sir.
No, not archival. I'm saying, as you understood, TS-IDX file take huge amount of storage, right? So keeping the whole data for long time will take huge amount of storage. If you want to optimize your storage requirement, you can understand then how frequently, how long data you are frequently searching. For example, last 3 month data you are frequently searching for analysis, real-time searches and all, right? Then what you can do? You can keep that TS-IDX file for 90 days, last 90 days, right? After that, it will get deleted. It should get deleted, right? However, actual data you're keeping for 6 years, right? So 90 days till the time you have TS-IDX file, so search will go to the TS-IDX file, right? The search will be faster. After 90 days, once it will get deleted, so prior to 90 days, if you search the old data, the query will go directly to the raw data file. The query will be slower, search will be slower. Got it? Clear, everybody?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So I have a question. Let's say if we have a TS IDX file for 90 days and we have the raw data for 6 years.
Right.
So post 90 days, that raw data will be shifted to some other file or it will be kept?
No. Raw data file will remain there. Only TS-IDX file will get deleted. Means after 90 days period, the remaining day TS-IDX file will be deleted.
Okay.
Data will remain there only.
Yes.
Sir, so the retention policy is applied for TX IDX files, not to the raw data. Is that correct?
Both,
Like how many days you
both.
want to keep?
See,
Okay.
total retention period, as well as if you want to reduce TS-IDX file, then you can apply it separately.
Okay.
For example, I have set my retention period as 6 years, then it will be applied for both by default, right? But you have option to reduce specifically TS-IDX file retention period separately. So you can reduce it.
So one question, when our licenses is charged for incoming traffic, right? Then do we have storage? Storage also is being charged for that?
No. Storage is not being charged, but you see.
Why are we deleting files for
But
future reference?
you understand, price means 2 times more storage, right? When you have, for example, 1 TB of data daily or 500 GB data daily, right? So how many storage required? 500 GB actual data daily, right? Then double, you have TS-IDX file. Means more than 1200, 1500 something you need daily you need. Understand? That means how much storage you need. You have to plan from finance perspective also, right? Got it? Clear? But we have another solution. This is a solution when we have a single component, right? When we go in the cluster environment, when we have multiple indexers in the cluster, we have option to keep TS-IDX file for long time for certain indexers and not to keep for certain indexers. This is when we have single indexer, then you have that option. When you talk about cluster and architecture, then we are going to keep it for a long time, and we will not keep, for example, we have 5 indexers, maybe 3 indexer will keep the TS-IDX file and 2 indexer will not keep. That kind of will do that. Once I talk about cluster architecture, I will tell you that separately, how we can do that. Okay, got it?
So here normalization happen in forwarder or in indexer?
Right now, normalization did not happen. Log are being kept, but normalization did not happen. Splunk is not keeping the logs for a long time, normalized logs. It's just keeping the raw and parse logs. Normalization will happen on the search head while searching. Okay. Got it clear, everybody?
I have a question, sir. Sorry. So, when you say 90 days, you can set up to delete the file. for a TS-IDX file.
Mm-hmm.
What if, let's say you want to search a log after 90 days and that file is not there? Does it recreate the file?
No. It is same as,
because the raw data is still there.
Let me
You
tell
can
you
still
that.
search it.
It
It
is
gets
same as-
slower, as you said.
It is same, right? It is same as you have a book, right? You have removed index pages on the book. So what will you do in that case? You directly go on the pages, right, on the search. Right?
Indeed. So it won't regenerate the TS-IDX file,
Right, it's
even
not
if you are
generate.
searching after, let's say, 200 days.
Right. It directly go to the raw data and search the actual data what you are searching. So the
So
query
it's,
will be
it's
slower in
more
that.
CPU and memory
Right,
intensive.
Right. And query will be also slower and it will take more resources.
So would that be a way where you can, let's say, store your indexing file separately and your TS-IDX file separate and your raw data separate?
Let me tell you that this is for small companies only. What I'm explaining you right now. Bigger company will keep indexes because bigger company will not have single instance. I said, right? Will have multiple component. For example, if you have 5 indexers, the based on your searching requirement, you will keep, out of 5, let's say 3 indexer, you'll keep the index file as well for a long time. So you will still have index file to search.
Okay. So in a bigger company, basically, you can have many forwarders and many indexes.
Right. Many indexer, many search head. I was telling you, right? HR example I was giving you. Many recruiters, many operations, many compliance HRs. Means we'll have many forwarders, many indexer, many search head.
And it can be separated based on, let's say, your firewall events versus your router switches and Windows event.
Correct. I will tell you. You just have to be here. Stay tuned for maybe in a couple of sessions, your full concept will be cleared.
No problem. Thank you.
I just want a confirmation though. I will not ask the question here. When we are going to discuss the licensing, will we be discussing the SVC model as well?
Which model?
SVC.
SVC in the sense?
Splunk virtual compute model in licensing.
No, virtual computing, it does not play any role in case of Splunk Enterprise.
No. See, because I'm asking, the licensing model we have right now is SVC. They're not like being licensed on the amount of data that is being sent on per day. Earlier we used to have like 1 terabyte of data in 24 hours, but then we have moved on to SVC model now, and we are being charged on how much compute we are going to do with the
CPU model. So many of the SIEM has this feature. Splunk has recently introduced this. This also I will discuss with you.
Yeah,
I'll give a light on that.
Thank you.
Basically, main license is based on a GE per day.
Yes, because I want
very
to.
difficult. This is very difficult to calculate SVC model.
Yeah, the reason I was asking is because let's say we are keeping the TS-IDX file for 90 days and we have the raw data for like 6 years. In that scenario, the searching becomes difficult. And when the searching becomes difficult, it consumes more CPU. And hence the licensing part I was asking the question for.
So what happens is, I said, right, this is if you are using single indexer, right, that will be the case. You have option, right? But if you're using indexer in the cluster, then you must be keeping it is necessary to keep the TS-IDs file for a long time. But instead of 5, you might keep for 3 indexers TS-ID file, and you are not keeping for 2 indexers. I will tell you why you are not keeping for 2 indexer, why you are keeping for 3 indexer, what is the scenario, then why we have 5 indexer in that case then. What is you of 5 indexer? That also will be cleared. As of now, you understand this. Okay. Clear, everybody? Right? So TS-IDX file means time series index file, that we call index file. So before storing the data, after compression, it will index, right? That is the reason we call as indexer. It will index, right? And then resulting these 2 files will be written on the disk. Your storage, right? These 2 files finally will be written on the disk. Okay, clear? So once your indexer collect the logs, it parse the log. If logs are not already parsed by a forwarder, If it is not from forwarder, it will parse. Then after the license meter will run. After that, it will compress the logs to optimize the storage. After that, it will index the logs. That means it will create two files. One is TSID's file, that means index file. Another is your raw data file. And resulting files will be stored on the disk. Clear to everybody?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Let's write it. What is indexer? Let's write indexer. Indexer is the component of Splunk deployment architecture. Indexer is a component of Splunk deployment architecture. Which collects the logs, which collect the logs from forwarders, which collect the logs, which receive the logs, which receives the log from forwarders, which receives the logs from forwarders, as well as it can collect the log directly from the end devices. As well as it can collect the logs directly from the end device. Once it collects the logs, once it collects the logs, it parses the logs. If logs are not already parsed, in bracket you can write. Once it collects, it parses the logs in bracket if logs are not already parsed. If logs are not already passed, then a bracket close, then license meter will run to calculate the license usage. Then license meter will run to calculate the license usage. Then it will run the license meter to calculate the license usage. Then it will compress the logs to optimize the storage requirement. Then it will compress the logs to optimize the storage requirement. After that, it will index the logs. After that, it will index the logs and then write the data on the disk. Then write the data on the disk.
So can you repeat that?
After that, it will index the logs and then write the data on the disk. Then write the data on the disk. Written?
Yes, sir.
Written, everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, fine. So that's it for, I have shared you the two document. One document is Splunk book. That is the initial document which will state what it is, indexer, indexer, search head, forwarder, right in detail, and different component requirement. And the second book is Splunk admin book, which cover the full almost syllabus of Splunk administrator that you can refer for further. First, you can refer this initial book. So we'll take it forward tomorrow. And tomorrow we may connect by 5 o'clock, but I will tell you, right? We connect by 5, otherwise 5:30.
Sure, sir.
Because I'm taking the session on 8:30, 12:30 also morning for 4 hours and evening for 3 hours. Sometime I'll go to home and I'll sleep, then I may get up late. Today I got late because of traffic also. So
Yes.
5:30 is confirmed, but if I'm a little early, then I'll confirm you.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So there is any portal to access?
Usually recording access we do not give to anybody, initial recording, especially theoretical recording. But this time, this is first time that we thought to give you temporary access, especially for temporary for initial recording. Once we start the practical, then I will have the recording for another 1 month after finishing the course. Once we start the practicals, so for initial session, you can access through mobile app, SIEM Expert mobile app for these theoretical sessions, right? So that access will be given maybe tonight or tomorrow morning.
Okay.
From mobile app, you'll have temporary access, right? 2 times you can watch just for revision.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Once we start practical session, then you will watch multiple times through web also.
Okay, sir. It's really
Okay.
interesting, actually. And
That
the
is from
concept will
security
get clear.
perspective. I'm telling you, I never used to give any recording access to anybody, initial session especially. It's been 8 years since I'm doing this training. This is just for security perspective. But now we have very secure portal. Now we have developed a very secure portal where we can monitor people. I mean, what is your MAC address, IP address, where you log in, right? Any malicious activities we can monitor. So that is the reason now we are in the position to give at least temporary access for this session. So 2 times from mobile app you can watch. Once we start the practical, then you can watch from 1 mobile and 1 laptop.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe today is already late. So, and tomorrow is Sunday also, but I have told my team to give you access, right? Hopefully tomorrow you will get the access.
Sure, sir.
No
Great
worries.
session, sir.
Tomorrow's session will be on Monday, access.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Rudy
sir.
Gaji.
Wonderful session, sir. Wonderful.
Yeah,
See you
thank
later.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Tomorrow's session, can you someone repeat?
Thank you, sir.